Hey, what's going on, guys? This is going to be my out-of-box review here for the Master Grade Polypod Ball. So this was a premium Bandai kit that basically takes the Master Grade Ball Verka and gives it a set of spider legs. No, not technically spider legs. Spider is supposed to have 8 legs. Of course, this only has 4 legs, but it gives it a set of spider-ish kind of legs. And it's really cool, and I thought this was going to be really cool. And like leading up to getting this kit, I thought that just looks too fun and too weird and too goofy. After building the kit, though, I'm honestly just kind of like a little bit meh about it, really, to be honest. So I don't know, I'll let you guys know what I think over the course of this review. There's, I think, just like the uniqueness of it is what makes this kit a lot of fun. And if I think you are looking at this kit like, well, that's just silly and fun and you could see a lot of potential in that, then by all means go ahead and get it. If you think that this is just not really all that interesting, then I would say just definitely just pass. But stay tuned for the rest of the review, because we'll talk about this in plenty more detail. First off, a huge thank you to us at Gundam Store, as always, for sponsoring the review, guys. You can check out their site in the link down below. They do pre-order and sell Bandai premium Bandai kits there as well. So if you want premium Bandai kits like this and other stuff, you can get those there, as well as whatever else, all for 10% off if you use my coupon code there. That's all down below. Check that out. They're really great people for giving me the chance to take a look at Bandai kits like this and share this information with you guys. So I really appreciate all the support that you guys show for them. Thank you so much for that. Now, building kits, it's basically, yeah, like I said, you just build the Master Grade Ball. That's like the first 2/3 of the kit is just building the Master Grade Ball, and then really all you're changing about the ball itself is just the bottom part, where it's just kind of the base of the arms there on the underside of the ball. You just have new parts for that, and then it's just the legs. So basically you just have, if you saw the unboxing, 4 runners of new gray parts for the inner frame of the legs, and 4 runners of new green parts with all of the armor parts for each of the legs. And so that's pretty much it. If you've built the ball, I mean, you could basically just kit bash this with any other version of the ball that you wanted. If you had like the 8th MS team version or the Igloo Shark ball or something with that have slightly different parts, you could easily just kit bash this and make it into whatever you want. And that's one thing that I also think is great about this kit, is that I think this would make for really good like just kit bashing, customizing material if you wanted to turn this into something like something out of Machine and Krieger, or just something out of completely something other non-Bandai, non-Gundam sci-fi thing. This could very easily just turn into just a kind of random sci-fi kit, not something out of Gundam at all. So let's talk about what all you get included with this kit. Now you get a set of sticker decals that look like this. These are exactly the same from the Ball Verka, so they're just some stickers. And then you get a set of dry transfer decals, again the same as with the Ball Verka. Not exactly sure how well these dark gray dry transfers are going to show up on top of dark green, but you're more than welcome to try that. And then we get a little set of these 2 kind of standing crew members that you can just put like next to the kit or something, I guess. And then we have a seated pilot figure inside the cockpit as well, but you've got these 2 little guys also, which I think is pretty cool. I like having these kind of things. They're good for if you want to do any sort of like dioramas or just custom base for your painted kits. And otherwise, that's it. Nothing else comes with this kit except for a few leftover parts. Everything else is just basically what you see is what you get. So let's take a closer look. First off, as I mentioned, there is a seated pilot figure inside here. You can open up the cockpit, but I find it's a little bit tricky to get to it, a little bit hard to do. But eventually, once you can get a grip on that, you kind of pull that out to the front and then just fold that open. And it is really nicely detailed up inside there. Hope you guys can see that well enough. You have like this kind of little like monitor, a screen kind of thing that goes like even in front of the pilot figure there. So there's a lot of nice detail inside there if you want to paint that up. And it's one thing about this ball too, is there's a lot of really nice detail underneath the hood, if you guys have seen that. Just want to pull off an armor panel here just so you guys can see that. But the like inner frame of the ball is super nice, so it's made up of a couple different layers there, and all the parts are just really super nicely detailed. So it's definitely one of those kits that if you wanted to have like armor panels off, or if you wanted to make some sort of like open hatch gimmick or something like that, if you want to have this like folded out or something, it would be a really good chance to show off some really nice inner frame details on a kit. But anyway, we also have these little thrusters here around the top of the head that move up and down a little bit like that. So there's 4 around on there on the front and back, left and right side. Those will move a tiny bit. Aside from the clear part here in the front, you also have a couple little clear parts here for these little side windows here. The main gun on the top will be able to rotate side to side and then just move up and down, and that's pretty much it, but that will give you at least the opportunity to move that around a bit. I think if there's one thing that they could have added, aside from just adding the legs to this, adding some sort of different gun or some sort of modification to the gun, if it would be something even just like a kind of radome at the top or something, or some sort of like extra camera attachment for that, or just something. They don't have to give you a whole new gun, maybe just 1 or 2 new pieces just to change up the gun a little bit, just so it's not completely stock, just to make it seem a little bit more customized, would have been nice. Now down here onto the arms. At the base of the arm, that gray part there is a soft rubber piece. Now there are a few soft rubber pieces around on the kit. Most of them are hidden though, so I think you really won't have to worry about having to paint those. These ones, however, you will have to worry about. If you want to paint those in a different color, you'll have to use some kind of special paint that will be able to stick to these soft rubber plastic parts, because if you move that at all, it's just going to crack and break the paint, and it's just going to be no good. But as it is anyway, you can move that around. It is on a ball joint, so the soft rubber is kind of helpful for that, I guess, to still create the illusion of that being kind of a joint covering there. You also have these little chrome bars here on the bottom of the arm there for like little pistons that do add to the overall look of the kit, just to give it a couple little points of detail to catch your eye, as well as especially these little red bits, the little red wires there on the end of the claws. I think if they didn't have those little red wires on there, this would be just a mass of dark green and gray, and there just really wouldn't be any sort of eye-catching accents, but those really do help just give you a little accent, a little dash of color in there that really makes this kit much better. But anyway, the arms will move up and down at this point here. You can of course also rotate the entire arm as well. The lower part of the claw will move up and down. You can rotate that one also, and then the little finger there at the end will also be able to move up and down a little bit like that. And then basically the same thing here for the top part, that moves up and down, rotates at the top, and then you can move that whole claw part, and then you can open and close these little bits on the end a little bit like that. In their fully closed position, they're going to be closed up to there like so. So considering these look very mechanical, basically any way that they look like they should move, they move. And the same thing goes here with the legs. So I'll just show you on one of the legs because they're all exactly the same. So they can rotate there at their base connection. They can also rotate on the opposite axis here on this next joint. On the next joint, they can move side to side like that. And then you've got this joint here, which will kind of slide like that to close up the legs. And you got this little piston under here. No chrome plating on that one though, unfortunately. So that will just move like that. And then down here at the kind of foot, you have a little bit of movement forward and back, and then side to side there like that. Now, one thing that I don't really care for about this design is this little foot part. It's just this kind of pointed part, and it looks like that was like just put on there. This looks like it's just kit bashed, like these green armor parts are just kit bashed from different kits and just like stuck onto this gray mechanical arm, which is fine. That works for most of the parts, but for this bottom part, it doesn't quite work as much for me aesthetically. It looks like this really should be shaped a little bit differently. If this is supposed to be supporting a large mech, I don't think that it would be walking around on like tiny little tiptoes like this. I think something with a little bit more of a flat surface would make a lot more sense just realistically. And so probably what I'll end up doing with mine is just like cutting off that part, or using something else just for some sort of like foot covering here, and just getting rid of this pointed part there. Up underneath, you do have this thruster here, which can move around a little bit as well. You can kind of pose that a little bit. This is one more place where you do have an exposed rubber part there, that ring around the base of the thruster bell. And then on the back side as well, these thruster bells on the back can also be moved around a little bit as needed, but there's kind of not really a whole lot of space for them to move around too. And that is really it for all the articulation and everything. Now, one thing you'll notice is that there's not really anywhere to put this on an action base. So a lot of the promo images were showing the kit in like some really cool poses and like flying, like with those legs turn around and everything, but there's not really any way to put this on an action base, so I don't really know how you're gonna be able to do that. I'm gonna try it here. The other thing that I'm a little bit disappointed about the kit is that the weight of the body makes it sink down, so the legs aren't super strong, at least at the connection, and that's because the part basically in this kind of tube part inside here is what's holding the kind of the legs up, is an ABS part, and it's like all these arms. So the arm is basically all entirely ABS plastic, and inside of there as well. And so it's got a little bit of a give to it, and that basically makes it so that when you set the kit down, it's going to sink down a little bit. and be like that. So I have got the legs posed like this, but then when I actually set it down, it's gonna sink down to that position. Now it doesn't look like a whole lot, but if you wanted to have it in like some certain pose, and if I want to have like one leg up like that, now it's gonna be slight, and you guys can like barely really tell the difference, but the way that it just sinks down a little bit like that is just going to make it a little bit harder to pose, I think. So you might want to do something to like just like reinforce the connection inside of there, just so that you aren't getting that weight giving in like that. Alright, so I've got it kind of balanced here on an action base, and I was able to do one of this kind of spinning pose that was from the promo images. And yeah, it's balanced on there. I wouldn't really trust it too much, but if you do need to get it up in the air and on an action base, you can kind of do it. But let's talk about some of the negatives of the kit, because I feel like just a little bit disappointed, but I don't really know what exactly it is that just is making me feel just kind of a little bit meh on the kit. In all honesty, I really don't know what you could say too much negative about the kit, aside from the fact that it's P Bandai. Even still, the list price for it is 3,000 yen, so you're probably going to end up paying, like if you're buying it in North America or Europe, closer to around $50 for it, and that is going to be kind of a lot for this, considering the Master Grade Ball is, if it's one of the cheapest, if not the cheapest Master Grade for sure out there. Obviously this has a handful of new parts added there, a pretty substantial handful with the new legs and everything, but still, it's P Bandai, but it is definitely going to be on the lower end of the P Bandai price range. Honestly, really the biggest negatives for me would probably be what's not included. I think they could have engineered some way to put this on an action base, so they've got new parts added onto the bottom of the kit, which is exactly the place where you would want to plug in an action base. So engineering the bottom of the kits in a way to be able to plug this onto an action base would have been nice. Also, as I mentioned before, engineering some sort of new parts for the weapon I think would have been nice as well, if not a completely new weapon for the top. But we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. Just some new option parts for that would have been cool. So in conclusion, guys, I'm basically just going to have to say again that this is one of those kits that if you can see some potential in that it's something that you think you would really enjoy building, then by all means go for it. There's nothing really wrong with the kit by any means, but if this is something that you're not really super particularly into, then it's definitely one that I think you could pass on. It's weird, it's silly, it's unique, it's interesting, and I think it's definitely a solid kit. But it's definitely got to be one of those just things that you're personally into. So I think, now that I'm thinking about it, that this will look much better as just like not thinking of it as a Gundam kit, but thinking of it more as just like a sci-fi kit, and maybe something from Machine & Krieger or just some other just fictional sci-fi universe where it's just something that's not anything related to Gundam. And then I think you can probably have a lot more fun with it, painting it up and doing some weathering on it or something, giving it a really space vibe. It definitely strikes me as something like sci-fi space kind of orientated. So that is what I think about the kit. What do you guys think about it? I know there's been a lot of people who have been pretty interested in the kit, so hopefully this review has been helpful to get some more information about it. Of course, my thoughts are just my own. You guys can, I mean, you've seen the kit, you've seen what it can do. What do you think about it? That is up for you to decide and whether you want to get it or not. Again, a huge thank you to US Gundam Store for sponsoring the review. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Hey! Thanks for watching, guys. Remember, if you want to check the kit out for yourself, you can head over to US Gundam Store. Use that coupon code ZakuAurelius10. Save yourself 10%. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time. Bye-bye.